Welcome to another edition of the podcast. I'm Bob. That's Vipin. Vipin, had a fantastic week. I hope you did as well. I know we watched your Seattle Seahawks come up for a domination of a win last Sunday. And I don't know, for me, I think I was just happy not to see the Patriots win, that my whole week was good. My cold is better. I feel like a human again. I can breathe. I can talk. I'm not coughing every 22 seconds. Life seems pretty good. How about for you, my bud?
It was a great Sunday. It was a little, anxious, even though we dominated. We only had 12 points after the first three quarters. And then we poured it on in the fourth quarter a little bit more. And, it was good to see the city. 1 million people showed up on Wednesday in Seattle for the parade. 1 million people showed up for the parade for the Super Bowl. That's pretty amazing. I think the city's excited. The city needed it. Really happy for the quarterback for the Seahawks. He's a guy, Sam Darnold, who was the number 3 pick. I think it was 2017 or 2018 in the NFL, and he got stuck with the Jets. That's where you go to die your career and kill your career, and he was there, and he got beat up, and then he went to 5 different teams, and he never gave up. And it's a great story for perseverance. It's a great story for staying focused, working hard, learning, getting better. And he's the first guy out of that class that went to the Super Bowl and won it. There's guys like Josh Allen from the Buffalo Bills. It just goes to show you a great story that if you work hard, stay focused, it might take you 8 years, but the dream comes true, right? Not for everybody, not all the time, but it can only come true if you work hard and take your time, keep getting better, not give up. And this guy didn't give up, and he just kept on doing his thing. Perseverance, how to manifest after your vision. And sometimes things take a long time, but I don't think the time matters as much. We want it tomorrow, we want it today. Things take a long time to achieve great success or to manifest your dreams. But if somebody told me, if I started 10 years ago and I'm where I'm at today, I'd be very happy with my life right now. And so it's very important to have a long-term vision and to keep working at it on a daily basis. Things happen. It just takes a little longer sometimes. Right.
Well, I think a lot of people look at people's lives. I mean, somebody would look at Sam Darnold's life and say, well, he made it overnight. I mean, he's just like an overnight sensation, but people don't realize that, like you said, time, perseverance, and practice, and just believing in yourself and doing the steps every day and showing up, that's what helped him to get to where he is, and then obviously having a team that's going to help him do what he did to get to the Super Bowl. But I think a lot of people nowadays want things immediately. Like you just said, 10 years ago, and you'd say that you'd look at your life now and be happy. But 9 years and 7 months ago, were you happy where you were? You know what I mean?
Probably not to the level. I feel like I made a lot of progress in the last 6 months. And so going after my dreams, I'm seeing actual results of things that we started doing 2 years ago and things that I started doing 2 decades ago. So last week we talked about vision boards, right? On Manifest 360, we launched that feature on that app. And so vision board isn't enough. It's the start. And what's important is why did you pick the things on the vision board? Why is your purpose? Why is when you're going to keep going? Things that get in the way for most people is emotional blocks. They'll have a rough day. I had a rough day a couple of days ago about some of my goals. It was this week. And some of my, what I call passion projects, with the podcast being one of them. And I didn't give up. I just rode through the day, and then I went for a walk, and I meditated, and I came out of it better, and I came out of it in a solution mindset. I thought of a new way of doing things, but I was doubting myself. I was doubting the direction of where I was going with one of my adventures or ventures, if you want to call it that. Anyway, I had an emotional block and overcame it in a day. That's the power of somebody practicing these things daily. As I mentioned, I do meditation, I do mantras, I remind myself of my goals, and if I get stuck somewhere, I think of a solution, and that's what I did. And so emotional blocks is one of them. How you get over emotional blocks is just doing things like going for a walk in nature, meditating, praying, and then looking for a solution. Like, this is a problem that I have. What are the possible solutions? And let's just ponder them, and solutions come to us sometimes in a shower, sometimes after meditation, sometimes after a dog walk, which is what happened to me this time.
So this last week, I thought to myself, I had a couple days free this week, so I drove up to the Twin Cities. I spent the night with my dad one night. I spent the night with my mom one night. And I actually drove around our old high school. So I went to Roseville, and I drove around old Alexander Ramsey, which is now Roseville Area High School. Did you know you can drive all the way around that school now, Vipin? So I took myself back to 1987 and just kind of I put myself in, and it's funny because I thought about our relationship and our friendship and how we had met there, but now come full circle 40 years later. Here we're talking every week, and we're partners on a podcast. And I was thinking to myself, these kids, their whole lives are ahead of them. So I mean, the school is twice the size as it was when we were there.
Wow.
Everybody now has a cell phone. Everybody now has cars. I mean, we all didn't have cars when we were growing up. None of us even knew what a cell phone was. And now all these kids have all of these benefits that we never had. And they're going to be, in 40 years from now, they're going to be 10 times more successful and 10 times more than what we have today. And it was kind of cool to just kind of look at that and think about that as I was driving around the school and thinking about the last 40 years, basically.
One statement that sticks with me is you said 10 times more successful. I don't know, Bob. I find that there's a bell curve. We all talk about bell curves and how we got graded in high school or how we got graded in college. Only driven people who are motivated, will be successful. And those that don't give up on a consistent basis. And so one of the things I find is that driven, successful people decide on a goal, decide on a dream, decide on a vision board, whatever that is, and they don't quit until they make it happen. And I don't think a large percent of the population does that. I think a lot of the population is looking to make money to live and not necessarily go after their dreams. Number of issues with that. First of all, they're not clear on what they want. That's what we talked about the vision board. Number two, they don't know how to go after it. And then even if they think they know how, the path might be twisty. It is twisty. You start out with one thing and you go to another, and what you're not realizing is, and you end up in a different spot. I didn't think I was going to end up in Seattle until after college. I went to visit, and I loved the city, and that's when I had no idea I was going to be in Seattle. There's a great book out there. I love it. It's one of my favorite books called The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. And he talks about a path of this guy, goes through life, and all the next step is what he focuses on day by day. And he ends up on this path to creating a great life for himself, but it didn't reveal itself in the first day. It takes a long time. And so for me, why I mention this is I taught a class on AI and robotics in my college senior year. And now, 40 years later, AI is becoming so prevalent that you and I are using it on a daily basis. And so is the population. And the world is accelerating at such a fast pace that those that don't understand how they can leverage it for themselves are going to be left behind. And for me, I am very clear of what I want and what I've been able to learn. I've had a career in product management for the last 18 years, which is basically how to build software, how to build solutions, enterprise level solutions. I worked at big companies like Microsoft and T-Mobile and these places, and I've been crafting this skill. But only in the last 6 months, I've been able to learn how to apply that through AI at an accelerated pace. One of the things I want to say to people is you just got to focus on today and possibly have a plan for the week, possibly have a plan for the month, have the big vision for the 10 years out that you want to achieve, but look at what you need to do today and just focus on the day and try to see if you can take that minor, step that you need. Don't try to solve the world's problems in a day, and don't give up if you achieve it in a year or 2 years. And that's where consistency. Go get a job. Go make money. Go do your thing. And the universe or God or whatever you call that higher power will reveal the plan to you step by step. It's taken me 40 years, and we talked about
Absolutely.
since high school, to figure out where I'm going with this thing. And I'm moving at a very accelerated pace now because I know what I'm doing. And I'm not looking for external validation from a lot of people. I have a couple of friends that I talk about things with, but I'm at a place where I am very confident, I am self-assured, and the only thing that I really look for guidance for is meditation and God and universe. And I'm able to move at a very fast pace in trying to achieve the things that I'm trying to achieve. I believe that I'll be in a different place dramatically a year from now.
Isn't that the big part of it right there, is to not look for external validation, to try to, validate yourself? Because I think when you look for external validation, you're either going to hear from people that love you, that, yeah, you're doing hey, good job, Vipin. Yeah. Or you're going to hear from the naysayers that don't want you to succeed. Like, that is the stupidest ass idea I've ever heard in my life. You need to validate yourself first before you look for the external validation. Is my thought anyway.
The only thing is you need to have some trusted sources. We've talked about you are a product of the 5 people that you hang out with the most. So there is something to be said about having trusted sources to throw and bounce ideas off of. But don't bounce ideas off your family because they don't know anything about business or your field of study or whatever. Find experts who are in that particular segment of business, art, whatever, sports. Talk to them about what's important succeeding in that area, and then try to see if you can synthesize that through prayer, meditation, focus, journaling, walking, exercising, whatever. Synthesizes in your brain, and then go take that next step for the next 30 days. Move.
Have you ever told anybody not to do something? Like my son has a with his business. We've talked about him and being successful in the things that he's doing. He asked me when he first got into real estate, should I do this, Dad? And I said no. And now he's killing it with it.
Following your heart and following your passion and following a rational mind is really critical. And you got to dream. You got to go forward. So there's so many naysayers. I was on a group chat with family the other day, and I was doing something, experimenting, and I had a couple of naysayers already texting me back saying, hey, this is not a good idea. And they didn't understand because they don't understand the space that I'm in. And so we're going to get naysayers. Even, I don't want to say even me. Well, I'm 57 years old. I know what I'm doing. I'm a professional. I feel I'm successful. I've done some amazing things. And there's still naysayers in the family. We're still trying to block my progress or something. They didn't have bad intentions. They were just coming from their perspective, which wasn't the perspective that I want. So yeah, you're going to run into blocks, and emotional blocks, validation blocks from other people. And what you got to do is you got to be very clear in your vision, like we said, and then work on your daily action plan and your goals by writing them down and tracking them and things like that, right? But the more dangerous thing is not the external validation. It is your subconscious mind. It's your belief system that doesn't think it can achieve these huge, lofty goals. There are people that have started out.
So it's about believing in yourself, then.
It's all about believing in yourself. So once you get the right belief, the way you look at belief system is, we talked about Colonel Sanders, 67 years old, broke, living on retirement, which wasn't much, wanted more. He took 1,000+ no's before he got a yes on selling his recipe for revenue sharing, essentially. There are great examples throughout history of people. Abraham Lincoln, all these failures, just believed in himself, right? His people died that were close to him. His career, he lost all these elections and all this stuff. Ended up changing the world for the U.S. So there's all these examples of great people doing great things, and they didn't do it overnight. There's no overnight success. There is no overnight success. That's clear. Maybe that's what we need to focus on today. It's to get people to understand there is success, but there is no overnight success. The Sam Darnold story is a good one. Tiger Woods coming back and winning the Masters after 10 years of pitfall and self-created destruction and all this stuff that he did. But he came back 10 years later, won the Masters. There's plenty of examples. Go find those examples. Go come up with a plan. Go to manifest360.app. There's all these tools there to go figure it out. Go to another app. Go figure it out. There's lots of tools out there. You start out with the notes on your app. Here's the goal that I want. I want to be there 5 years from now. What are the steps that I need? Your brain will tell you steps. You know the steps. The key is to do it on a daily basis for a long time.
Well, let me ask you a question then on that, because I know we've talked about manifestation a lot on this podcast over the last couple of years. Do you think that maybe when you say you manifest something, that you're basically thinking that that's wishful thinking, that you think, okay, I'm going to manifest this, or is it just basically me thinking that, you know what, in the future I'm going to, do you get what I'm saying on that?
Yeah, and it's a new agey kind of a word, but in psychology, I think it's called the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And the final step in that is self-actualization. The first one is basic necessities, food, shelter, things like that. Second one is around community. Mm-hmm. Third one is about something else. Fourth one is about self-realization, realizing who you are, realizing in history, in your personal history, what you've gone through. And then actualization. How do you actualize? The modern day word is manifest. And nobody I know, has done it without taking action. It could be wishful thinking if that's what it is, but you got to take action. We've talked about this many times over the last couple of years. Come up with a plan and take daily actions, right? You spend an hour a day. We even talked about it last week, about the planes going to Paris or London, right? And so there are blocks to taking action.
So, Vipin, when you take your vision board that you've created from Manifest 360 and you're looking at it and you're saying, okay, this is what I want to be and this is what I want to do and this is where I want to go, how do you take actions on those different events that you look at your vision board and says, gosh, this is this, this is this, this and this?
So personally, I have focused on the biggest problem that I have, the biggest challenge that I have, and that I think you will validate that for me in a second. I have created great content. I have Spiritual Mindset, which is a group of 1.6 million followers on Facebook, which is a good asset, but it is not a traffic machine. My biggest challenge in achieving my goals is to get traffic on the internet for people to come and visit my website and buy the products that I want to sell. So for me, I need to generate traffic / customers so they can come to my website and find the right value proposition. I have built Manifest 360 to provide the right value proposition. Now I need to generate traffic. So I've come up with a plan to get traffic by building viral, highly engaging tools on that site. The vision board is one of them. The Real You quiz, which is a small one of saying, who really are you? And there is an in-depth psychological assessment in there as well. With these tools, I also need to go in and focus on one of the skills that I have. I developed this skill about 20 years ago when I was working on one of my side projects, which was digital marketing. I became a search engine optimization expert. I ended up doing product management for SEO at some very big companies, ADP, Microsoft, and others. Now, I am focusing on SEO to drive organic traffic to these websites. I've created a plan, and I am working on that plan, and I've started to implement some of those strategies to solve my biggest challenge. It's going to take me about a year to develop that organic traffic. Even for the podcast, when we develop the new positioning that we're working on, We created a new description on Apple. You published it a couple of weeks ago. And we're going to brand things around Manifest 360. And what we're trying to do is to generate organic traffic, get the word out. And about a year from now, I feel we'll be in a great place that we're going to get tens of thousands, up to 100,000, maybe even 1 million visitors a month. First, to create a value proposition that people will share these things. Once we drive 10,000 people to it, maybe 500 of those 10,000 will use these tools, and then they will share them on their social profile. And that's how it's going to happen. A year ago, I worked on Spiritual Mindset, the group. I didn't have that asset. That asset is very valuable in providing traffic to the sites that I have. So it's just step by step. I have a plan to solve my biggest problem. It doesn't mean that I'll have the answer right away, but I'll keep adjusting that plan. I'll keep actualizing. I'll keep manifesting by taking action, by learning, applying what I learned, and moving forward little by little. So that's how I'm going to actualize. That's how I'm going to manifest.
I told you that I took a trip up to the Twin Cities the other day, and I was listening to some of our older podcasts on Spotify as I was driving, and I don't know if you knew this or not, but the calm-centered loving that we've been talking about recently
For the last 3 months, yeah.
that is also something that we talked about 2 years ago when we started doing the podcast. I don't know if you knew that or not. I didn't remember that until I was listening back to some of the older podcasts, and I came across that, and I thought to myself, "Wow, that's great that we're staying true to ourselves, like we talked about at the beginning of when we started doing the podcast. That it's all about being true to yourself, and we're being true to ourselves by doing something that we started talking about 2 years ago."
Yeah, and we started talking about the chakras. And now I'm writing a book on the chakras. My website designer put a beautiful website out there called chakramantras.com. And there we talk about the chakras and how they apply to an inner wealth map. An inner wealth map is aligning the chakras. We've talked about this many times. I just put it on paper on that website. And it's incredible how she's actualized it. And that website is not there for people to go to today. But when the book launches a year from now, that site will have authority. That site will have content. That site already has content. Right now, it's for publishers to see bio on Vipin, bio on mantras, why they're important, chakras. Mantras are the number one way for us to open and align the chakras. And the definition of a mantra is on that page. And one of the things that we talked about 2 years ago, calm, centered, and loving, fascinating that we talked about it 2 years ago, and now you're focusing on it, you're probably practicing it. And what happens after 2 years for me personally, I am so much more calmer, so much more centered, so much more loving to society and people that I used to resent in the past, people that I didn't like, people like Donald Trump, people like whatever. Cut that out on the podcast. Sorry. People that I didn't like. And so now I'm much more focused on spreading love and positivity.
It's crazy. Like I said, I was shocked that the stuff that we're talking about now is stuff that we talked about 2 years ago, and it's all just kind of coming full circle. I just wanted to let you know I was impressed by that.
Yeah, that's great. It shows we're focused. It was just repositioning. We're refining things. We've learned certain things, and we're readdressing them and repositioning them. We talked about 10 things, let's say, and now we're talking about the 3 things that are the most important out of those 10 things. One of the things that I learned years ago on successful businesses that Microsoft did, their approach to software and products, and one of their founders talked about this in a talk at some conference somewhere that I heard. He basically said, we don't know what products are going to succeed. So we throw 10 things on the board. We launch 10 things. But only 2 or 3 of those work. And then we cut out the 7 and we start refocusing on those 3. And we'll do the same experiment on another block of tools and ideas, and we'll see in the industry, we'll throw 10 things again, and then we'll focus on 2 or 3. That's exactly what an individual should do. Try 10 things. 7 or 8 or 9 are not going to work. Find the one that works and keep going at it. The most important thing you can do is to develop the what you want, that's the vision board, and the second part of that is the why, the purpose behind it. You'll never achieve anything unless you're clear on the purpose of the why. There's a tool in there, and from the traffic that we do have, we have hundreds of people going there. Not thousands yet, but hundreds. And one of the top 3 areas that people go to is the vision board, and the second one is purpose-driven goals. Go to the purpose-driven goals of that site. Create a purpose for yourself. And then it will generate goals automatically through AI. It'll create 5 goals for you. Not 20, not 50, just 5. Focus on one of them per day or this week. And start working that. Work a system. Take action. Just keep going. We'll show you systematically what works based on what you want. We have really intelligent AI that has built that application and that utilizes that AI to help you generate really smart, not based on what we want, but what you say in the answers, what you say in the questions that you answer. And that's why it develops the plan for you. That's the magic of using technology. And it's using one of the top 3 AIs in the world. I don't even know if I put that out there, but I'm not afraid to say it. It's using the Google Gemini AI. I think there's 2 AIs that I can say that are the top 2 is OpenAI, ChatGPT, Google Gemini, and there's Claude and Anthropic and a couple of other ones. But most people know ChatGPT, and most people know Google Gemini. And we're using Google Gemini AI infrastructure to build that site to answer those questions that individuals have. That's why it's successful. It's a really intelligent, systematic, data-driven application. It's not just a wish list. Manifest360.app is a place where you can go create a purpose for your life. From that purpose, it will automatically generate a set of goals. And then you can track those goals. And the most important thing that you can do 5 minutes to 10 minutes a day is to reflect at the end of your day. Go in and answer those questions of daily reflection. If you reflect on your day, just like Benjamin Franklin suggested, 5 minutes a day, and you put in the system that what are you proud of? What are you insecure about? What would you have changed? What are you grateful for? It just takes 5 minutes to answer those questions. You're going to have an incredible path to what you want, but it requires 5 minutes a day. Go to the app. First time it may take 10 minutes, but 5 minutes a day is all the app requires of you to be successful.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Fall Rise Give, where we explore stories of resilience, growth, and giving back. If you enjoyed today's episode, please visit our website at www.fallrisegive.com. Also consider subscribing to our podcast on your favorite platform and leaving us a review. Your feedback helps us to continue to bring you inspiring stories. Stay tuned for our next episode, and remember, every fall is a chance to rise, and every rise is an opportunity to give. Until next time, keep falling, rising, and giving. This is Fall Rise Give, produced by podcastforhire.com. Thank you for listening.